Hello and welcome to episode 9 of our Timberborn Update 7 Folktails Hard Mode playthrough with Cycle 12, Day 16. Back at it once again with the Folktails faction after a couple days off. I needed it. I probably still do, but we're going to try again and make a gradual comeback to all of our different series we got going on. But I really wanted to make sure we got back to these guys, because last time we got a pretty good amount of stuff done with our industrial area expansion. And we got some power going on up here with our additional windmills. We've got some additional gravity batteries going in as well. And we talked about some good ideas we had for the future, and you guys came out into the comments in spades with all sorts of other stuff that we needed to either fix or improve or maybe think about doing as we continue moving forward. So that's going to be something that we're going to be working on today as we continue expanding. And I'm going to try my best. I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to try my best to get us to the point where we can start excavating and messing with 3D terrain. And that's going to require us to have not only a bunch more science, but we also have to have 100 of these treated planks, which right now we have 0. And not only do we have 0 treated planks, we have 0 pine trees harvestable. So we just put in this forester here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, let's put in some additional pine trees as well. Leave some space here for our path to go in, and just fill in a bunch of this space here because we can, because we kind of need to, and just let it be what it's going to be with regard to the beavers getting things accomplished here. And we're going to speed through the rest of the night here in triple speed and talk about the rest of stuff we're doing over here in this area. Because a bunch of people have been calling for me to kind of dam things up over here and get stuff situated to the point where it's not going to be a big issue if we get Badwater coming through, so on and so forth. That was why I left space here to put in our contamination barriers, which we do already have unlocked. As a reminder, just so they don't build this, I'm going to have this paused. This doesn't work anymore. This is something they changed for Update 7. So now, if we want to have contamination barriers go, they have to actually touch and zigzag like this. And while these are relatively cheap, easy to build, I don't think we want to stay with those quite yet, because we have other options here. But before we talk about that, let's get some extra beavers here doing some scrap metal harvesting, because we want to turn this into a tree farm as well. So, let's see, I've got 6 more of these guys in here. Give them all sorts of access to this area. Get those extra beavers working as much as we can. But yeah, like I was saying, this area over here has 4 of these water source blocks, and outside of that there isn't really any water source accessible to this corner of the map. We do have over here, we've got this Badwater source that comes out this side that could flow back if we decided to allow that to be a thing, but we could just as easily come down here and block this off with just a couple pieces of wood and a levee. And then all of this Badwater would end up flowing through this area and then off that side of the map. And that would make it so that a lot of this space is accessible for planting additional trees. And if we went ahead right here and put in either a set of sluice gates or just some other diversion thing, then this could basically only ever be good water, as long as we're able to get water out of that, and then all the bad water gets shunted somewhere else. We have options. We have different things we can think about that we're wanting to take advantage of here with how the map gets laid out and how we interact with things, just like we always do. But I do want to make sure before we spend too much time talking that we're doing what we need to be doing over here, which the idea is we want to get as many of these different components built up as possible before we need them. And there's a lot of stuff that we would really, really benefit from doing a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently, and I think specifically we need to put in a larger than large pile, maybe even one of the underground piles for our logs specifically. But remember what I said about us needing to have a lot of science? I don't think at this exact moment in time it's going to be that big of a deal for us to have to rely on the underground piles yet, but we do need to make sure we're doing something with what we have access to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue blasting this whole thing out here while we have the opportunity to. Remember, we're making our dynamite here, and if we're not using it, then it's going to waste. And we want to make sure that we get this area flattened out, situated in other manners as required, just about as soon as we can. And we need to make sure the beavers are actually making science too, which it seems like they are. I do think objectively it is very funny that the flipped ones flip other ways, even though that's not something that matches visually. But hey, what can you do? What can you do? It's fine. But yeah, they're going to get to work with that. Looks like it's actually going a lot faster than I would have anticipated otherwise. But by clearing a lot of this space out, this is going to give us an opportunity to come in and put in more of these piles that we can actually use. And, well, just prepare this area for a little bit better efficiency. Because, like, look at this. Right now we have basically full storage on the logs. We've got full storage on the planks, minus about 12. And we have a lot of extra space for gears, which is good because we do need to have those. But as time goes by, you're going to see what I'm talking about as we continue building this area out. Just need to make sure we're doing what we can do here. Water is pretty good looking. Before we get too far, I do also want to acknowledge that, yes, this absolutely should have a sluice on it as well, because as soon as we get bad water coming in here, it's going to take a long time to flush this out if we don't. So that will be addressed. I'd just like to not waste any more water coming out of here. Not quite yet. So toward the end of our drought, we probably will put that in place, and that should be fine. Food-wise, we're still looking pretty good. I know this is not fully optimized, but it's not a problem right now. We're doing totally fine. It is just incredibly, like, not an issue. We don't need to waste time worrying about it. Much more important now to make sure that we have pine trees growing and set up in such a way where we can make plenty of pine resin, and then also start getting into the production of the treated planks. So this building is 800 science. Obviously we don't have any resin yet, but pretty much as soon as we have resin that's coming in, we need to start making these planks as fast as possible, which is part of what I was trying to do here. By getting all of these extra guys in here working on the scavenger flag, they can get rid of this, which is going to reduce our dependence on these smelters here, which means we can replace them with the wood workshops. See, there's a method to the madness. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, it makes sense to me most of the time. I guess that's the most important thing, right? But since we're in a situation now where we have the time to just go ahead and say, you know what? No nasty water coming through here. We're not going to deal with it. It's not going to be a problem. All we have to do to make this what it's going to have to be is just pop this in right here. 4 pieces of levees. Give them a nice, easy path access through here. And they'll take care of that. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to work. And that's going to stop bad water from coming through here, period, point blank, because this is the only water that's going to come out of this until we can get up here to put a cap on it. That's just going to stop it right there. And then I do think that right around here-ish, this is how many of these again? It's 4. Let's just hop into dev mode real quick and check the strength. So that's a 1, that's a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So we have 4 out of dev mode, back in normal. So we need to, if we're going to divert this, we need to make sure that we have the capacity, which really shouldn't be an issue, since we have 2 edges here, which is good for 4.4, and these are 4 combined, and there's no height change. All we'd really have to do is just make sure that this would be set up with perhaps a sluice gate here, and then some levees this way. And I'm gonna guess that that's gonna work out just fine, right? Like so. So what's gonna end up happening here is this, since there's no height difference, this should be totally fine. And then this will end up just being 2 set to close below contamination. And this one will be set to close above contamination. Turn off that thing for sure. Although, no, it'll be fine. Just make sure that's not set. But for that to be a thing, we are going to have one of these levees paused, and they're going to have to be able to get into there as well. So, you know, just adding a couple more construction projects for these guys. Doesn't have to be a world-ending event. But seeing how this is set up, I'm just going to go ahead and put these stairs right here. Be totally fine. Get these guys access to that. And I think that's going to work out pretty well, as long as nobody gets silly-billied over here. And it might be a little bit rudimentary, and it definitely is. But that's going to end up being a really good thing for us to go ahead and get set up now before we have a bad tide. And it's going to let this area stay clean. And that's already done. Great. That means we don't have to worry about any of this mess. And I can just put in a whole bunch of maple trees all along this, and that should be pretty good. Just go ahead and get that set there. Get these set up as pines as well. Obviously, you can't put them right next to the windmills, and that's not something that's going to work out super well. And then we also want to blast this down as well, which we're going to get to eventually. I think we want to focus more on this for the time being. Get that taken care of, or at least started. But this is a big help right here. Even if it's not an elegant solution, it is a solution that is going to help us. And now we can move back over here, where it looks like this is just about drained enough for me to feel pretty comfortable getting rid of this. Maybe a little bit more. Let's check and see how we're looking here. Yep, looks good. The water situation is, you know what? We could actually have a little bit more pumping, but I don't want to take any beavers out of anything else right now. I know we do need to still grow the population a little bit, which we will get into in due time. But yeah, let's go ahead. Since we were already talking about the planks earlier, let's just pop in. Maybe not necessarily in that specific spot, but we just need to have piles of stuff. And since we were talking about putting in everything else over here, maybe it would make sense. Especially if this is not going to be nasty water. Maybe it would make sense to put in some more stuff over here. And just make this for plank storage. Because remember, all of this isn't going to stay here forever. This is just a temporary setup until we can get all of this out of here and do what we got to do. These are 77%. I know these are like brand new. 26%, yeah. So each of these trees is going to give us, every 7 days, 2 pieces of resin. And then the wood workshop takes 1 piece of resin. It takes 3 hours to make a plank with it. Of course, you do need the regular plank for that. So each one of these trees, every 7 days, can give us 2 of the treated planks. So, you know, ideally, if we want this to be finished this episode, to have 100 of the treated planks, this isn't going to be enough pine trees. At least without us having to wait a super, super long time. So we are going to probably need to be planting some more. And fortunately, we do have space for that. We got some down here that is definitely going to be something we can work on in the very, very near future. Obviously, wanting to keep stuff in range as much as possible. And I think, yeah, we're just about there. So, again, taking a look at the range of this, we got plenty of space around here. Leave space for the path, of course. Leave a little bit more space there, and I believe for where we are now, this is probably going to be enough. Obviously, it's going to take some time for them to grow, but this is what is irrigated and not in the way of our windmills. At least for right now, that's probably fine. Yeah, so I'm not going to feel too bad putting in anything else here. We can continue to have more irrigation spread in here as the time allows. Looks like this is just waiting on those 2 sluices to be built. Almost there. Almost there. Then that guy can get popped in. Looks like this is our last piece. Hopefully. Yep, there we go. Just get that finished up. And yes, perfect timing, perfect timing. Let's go ahead and get this situated here. Again, we got 3 strength coming out this way. We'll be totally fine to fit through here. If it goes the correct way, that is. But I think what's going to make the most sense, and just in case something goes terribly badly, we're going to double stack the sluices and put the dam on top. There's no reason not to do it. Well, there might be, but we're going to choose to ignore that. Close below contamination, 1%. Close below contamination, 1%. Turn off the close above downstream depth because it's completely irrelevant. And that should end up being a much, much better thing for us to be working on. And there are a number of you in the comments of the last video who commented that this zipline station is currently not doing anything. And you'd be correct because it's not really close enough versus taking the path. And, yeah, it's probably not a great place to put one of those, but keep in mind, as time goes by, and we actually do have the explosives now, so we could probably start putting in some power up here if we felt so inclined. We just have to be able to get down into these areas, and that's not really going to be that easy of a thing for us to accomplish, given how these trees are all grown in here. Going to have to take kind of a roundabout approach by coming in from the side here. But fortunately, that's not going to be a super long process. Just got to get these guys in here, get some trees cut down. You know the drill. Just get all these things marked. Get this whole thing completely set up so that when we go to do it, we don't have to come back and set everything. It's just one of those things. Takes time. Be totally fine. Now, I do think that the water flow through here is not really going to be enough to warrant widening this to a tremendous degree. But 3 of these on one edge, 2x2, obviously not going to be smart, but 2 is going to be more than fine. And I think if we focus on making this something for just a single 2-tile wide water wheel channel, then that's going to be our best bet. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts we have going on right now, and it's not necessarily smart to rush into stuff without having a little bit of a better idea of what we're trying to accomplish. So, again, there's no reason to worry about that. We'll just keep on going as time permits. I'm going to pause this paper mill because our paper storage is currently full, and our large windmill is going to take 1,400 science. We're just not there yet. But having that paper all ready to go, is a big help for us. We've got more plank storage now that this is set up over here. Don't forget to get that levee situated as well. And our planting continues. 91%. A reminder that we do still have to wait another 7 days to get the resin. These guys are going to keep on doing what they're doing. These guys are going to keep on doing what they're doing. And everything is looking pretty okay. Now, the wood workshops require 250 HP, so that is going to be a situation where perhaps a little bit more robust power generation is going to be desired. So we'll see what happens when we get there. If this just has to end up being a single wood workshop, then obviously that's going to take a really long time, because that's going to be a minimum of 300 working hours to get our 100 treated planks. So we can have our excavator going, and that's a really slow process. I know you guys aren't going to be a fan of that. So we are going to try to speed that up a little bit. Just have to make sure we're keeping everything going there. And this is looking pretty good here. I did have the thought, and I'm not entirely sure, maybe we don't even get to this episode and then you guys can decide in the comments, but I do kind of want to see if a 4-wide channel here is going to be viable in terms of flow strength. Because remember, this is 1, 1, and 1, so it's a total of 3 going through here. I mean, it's going to turn the wheels anyway, and in theory that should be generating more power even if there's less pressure on it, just because you have more wheels involved. But I don't know. Like, I kind of want to do an experiment on it, but these types of playthroughs with the unedited Let's Play style is not really the right kind of thing to be doing experiments on. I think that's kind of a little disrespectful of your time. That's something for a testing world that I don't really ever get into. So if you have an idea, or if you have actual knowledge, please do let me know your findings on that. But as we are continuing along here, just going to try to maybe start getting a couple more beavers. We need to have more campfires. We've already kind of established that. So I think I'll go ahead and put another one here. And then see if there's going to be a little bit of a better way to get these beavers into lodging. I guess I'll just go ahead and build for right now one more lodge. Start the process of growing a little bit slowly, but definitely focused on not crashing our population. We're just trying to fill all the jobs as we have them come up. Reminder that we have 8 of these, that as soon as this is all gone, these are going to go away and it's not going to be an issue. All right, 98%. So today, the 7-day clock starts on the pine trees getting the resin. So we will need to replace this with a tapper shack before that begins. I'm just hopeful that our friend here in the forester can get everything planted before it's too late. So we'll see where that goes. You know what I haven't thought about? is the zip line's above the trees. I have no reason to believe that it's not going to work, but I'm just very curious. So let's give this a test right here. Obviously, they can't build that yet, but if I have that there, yeah, that seems like it's not going to have any problem whatsoever. So let's just, since we know we're not going to need this yet, let's get that out of there. Make sure this is set correctly. Looks like it is. Yeah, for whatever reason, this fills me with extreme fear whenever I do something like that. Everything over here is looking pretty good. Do a little bit more dynamite. Obviously, we are out of the Badwater, which is why they have stopped making dynamite. So, I'm kind of reluctant to pause this because I'm going to forget about it. But we do still have 2.5 days before any Badwater comes back, and that is a beaver that we can send over to make science, which we do desperately need. Remember that for us to have any chance of having terraforming this episode, I need 2,000 science, I need 3,000 science, and then we're also probably going to want to have at least a couple more of these overhangs. But at the bare minimum, that's another 3,000 science just for that, plus the wood workshop with another 800. So we need to have 3,800 science in the next 45 minutes of real-time gameplay, or else we're going to, actually, it's closer to 35 at this point. We're going to be hurting. So, gears-wise, we probably should be producing a few more. But we're not quite there yet. We're working on it. We're making good progress with this. These trees are, once again, in the process of growing resin for us. We just need to be getting this forester planting a whole bunch more stuff. I know it's going as fast as it can. It's fine. All right. We did get this finished up, which is good. I know that there's a lot of people concerned about this, so I'm, as always, very thankful that you keep close attention to what we have going on here and offer solutions. I think this is probably one of the most commented on things we've done this series so far. Outside of that, there's still a bunch of other stuff that we want to get into. And I'm not entirely sure what the best way to go about it would be. But somebody, I guess we could just go ahead and say, you know what? Let's get these 2 bits of potatoes out of here. Somebody said, hey, you should put a ladder here so that you can have access from this side to this upper farmhouse. You know, that's not a bad idea. Right now, we don't really have a tremendous need for that to exist, but I can definitely see in the future how that would be a useful thing. So, what the heck? Let's do it. Just pop in a couple of ladders here. Nice, easy connection. We can also safely get rid of that and replace those 2 potato growing things. No problem. Also, some concern expressed about the amount of beavers we have producing bread currently, especially with how this is set up, this grist mill with the, first of all, the lack of wheat to be turned into wheat flour, but also the manual labor powering it, which, remember, once we have everything else set up and we have a lot of power going throughout the map, then it's not going to matter as much. But for right now, this is what we have. This is what we have going on. So I'm just going to hit pause on these guys for a little bit, and I think we can divert them safely to some other pursuits. Or at the very least, since there's no wheat for them to harvest, that doesn't need to be a big issue. Potato-wise, we are looking really, really good on potatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unplant probably a decent amount of this as potatoes, and we're going to have this just be wheat. Probably makes sense to be doing that anyway. Another benefit of putting this ladder here is that we do have the option to continue down this way and then have this farmhouse work on some of this land as well. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to have this just cut straight across this field here. Because remember, this isn't really supposed to be a thing. It's just one of those things we hadn't quite caught up with. And we did talk about putting in aquatic farming as well. But remember, aquatic farming requires... Okay, it's only 150 science. It's not that big of a deal. But that's something that we can get into as time goes on. We did want to dynamite this out to be an asset for our farming as well, our aquatic farming. When we get there, we haven't forgotten. There's just stuff that probably needs to be a little bit more of a priority as we continue moving toward our goals there. Now, we are 23%. Still a few more trees to plant that I think we can reach. So I'm not going to take that out quite yet. But we do need to keep that in the back of our mind, that that's something we need to accomplish. I do have 4 extra beavers. Don't worry, it's not that big of a deal, because as soon as we have our temperate season come back, then I've got to turn these Badwater pumps on and the explosives factory, so that's 3 beavers right there. And then when we have more wheat coming in, I do have to turn those guys on. So it's not that big of a deal. They've already ended up having issues filling other stuff to the point where now we have to have 2 of those beavers take over other jobs as well. Everything's cyclical, especially with the Folktails, because of life cycles and everything. So we're looking pretty good so far. I don't see anything else that we really need to take care of at this exact moment. Just keep on marching toward our goals, getting as much in there as we can. But growing population definitely still needs to be a thing. Plenty to do in that regard. And now that we have ladders, actually, I think it would be in our best interest to go ahead and replace this guy right here. I believe would be a fine candidate for a ladder facing that way, because then behind it we can go ahead and we can put in a lodge. Flip that way. There we go. Just like that. Nice and easy. And they're going to have access to this rooftop terrace. And then we can do kind of the same thing right here. Just about when that time comes in. But we'll get there when we get there. Just going to do it one piece at a time. How are we looking over here? Got almost all those trees planted. That's at 32%. Tapper Shack, we have all the materials already ready to go. Wait, how do I have 2 Badwater? How did I get that? These shouldn't have... Oh, is this... Okay, that's because I paused the explosives factory. Almost certainly what happened there. Oh, you know what would be smart that we haven't done? Is this triple floodgate. I know now is probably not really the time to be doing this, but we have at least 4 or 5 days. Let's just go ahead and replace these with sluice gates. I know a couple of you commented about this. Oh, seriously? Come on, man. Always goes to the wrong side. Always goes to the wrong side. I know this drives you guys up the wall. But, come on. There we go. There we go. What we're going to do here is we're going to stack sluices. Just 3 high. Not that it matters, but it's also just kind of fun. Just kind of fun to do this. Remember, these are one-way flow gates, so it does not matter. Just go ahead and get this set to close above contamination 1% and turn that off. Actually, you know what we could probably do is we could probably actually use this because these are all going to be set differently, so that they close whenever they can't fit anything else at that level. But probably doesn't matter. Probably going to be totally fine. Everything else overflow will go through here anyhow. But here we are at the end of cycle 12, day 25. Going to get the rest of this show through here right quick and continue moving on. Yeah, they still haven't harvested all these potatoes. We'll get there. Get there eventually, but here comes cycle 13. And here comes the Badwater again. I am going to go ahead and unpause these Badwater pumps, get them going on that again. And we already have the first sluice gate in place. Here comes our good water. Here comes our bad water. Stuff is looking better. Over time, and then a couple of you commented on this as well, I do want to blast all this down. We just don't have the resources quite yet to make that possible. But that is something we are going to get into just as soon as I have the ability to make that happen. It looks like this is going pretty well here. Beaver housing getting filled up. We got 11 kits. This is working, it looks like, pretty well. No bad water going to make its way through here. It should have no problem flowing into here and then over out of the map wherever this goes. And we do have additional water sources from here flowing in through this way. But remember that it should not, operative term being should not, come over this way. This might go over this way, but this should not go over this way. We might have to come in here and remove these blockages for that to really be a thing. But for now, this is mixed. Not because of anything happening over here, but because of what's happening here. And there's not really a... Okay. So, we've identified a problem that I did not foresee being an issue. This is going to have to close above downstream depth of, let's just say 0.9, which means this is going to drain out this way, which probably isn't going to solve our problem here, but should at the very least, given enough time, stop this from flooding. If this is actually able to get out, which... I see the problem. All right. So, for all of my blustering, it seems that I'm still capable of making some mistakes. Although, I will be very delighted to inform you we have not had a catastrophe in today's episode, despite some of my best efforts otherwise. But yeah, we are going to end up getting rid of blockages here. But before we do that, let's remember that we have Badwater coming through here, and we want to make sure that doesn't get worse. So we're going to outsmart the Badwater. We're going to put sluices here, and these guys are going to be set to basically never close. But because of the way this is set up, there's going to be no Badwater going this way, and this shouldn't end up being a problem at all. But once these three get put in place, and we know there's not going to be any water that can come back through here, I can just get rid of these, and we should not have any issues. Looks like this is already good to go, so I can get rid of that one. And that should stop some of our flooding issues. This here is going to put Badwater through in a bad tide, which, you know, it is what it is. Kind of unavoidable. But, you know, we're taking steps. We're taking steps to make this not a complete disaster at all times. But you know the drill. It just, you know, it just takes time. So, I get that on triple speed. 66%. It looks like all of these trees are planted to the degree that it's going to be possible. Oh boy, just in time for a bad tide. So, that forester goes away. And in its place, we put a tapper shack. If I can hit the correct rotation key on my keyboard. Make sure that this is set the correct... I guess that doesn't really matter. But this does give us one little bit more of range on that way, so I guess that's going to be fine. Just get these guys good to go. We do need to have storage for the pine resin and the maple syrup itself, which I kind of was going to put over here, but then I remembered I don't have enough pine trees. So, unfortunately, it's probably going to have to end up being maple syrup sacrificed to do that. But for right now, I think we're okay. It's more important that we start harvesting it. You know, storage optimization can come a little bit further down the line. Just want to make sure we're in a decent place to be doing all of that. So if I get rid of these two blockages, that should make this pretty much, well, bad tide proof in terms of going this way. You know, coming out of here, that's a different story. That's a different story entirely. And, you know, 2.8 days, we probably could make this work. Do I dare dedicate resources to this? I think it's probably not the worst idea I could have ever had. But if I put this here, is this going to be enough? Going to be enough for me to get this actually set in place? That's going to have to be... You know what would have been really smart would be to put another zipline station in, but I don't think they can build that fast. I don't think... Actually, you know what? No. No. This is the time for experimenting and making mistakes. Not stupid blunders. Mistakes in the pursuit of innovation are not as bad as mistakes just because I was stupid. All right, let's make that abundantly clear. I'm kind of... I'm not convinced this is going to be a perfect routing on the other side here. But let's try this. Let's see if that's going to let me... Aha! Too far, and of course, oh, the windmill in the way. Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. Let's briefly consider our costs. We have over here we have metal. We have planks. We don't have gears. Gears are the thing that's going to kind of make this a difficult task. But will this... Okay, that'll work. Can I move it up? Up meaning that way. Can I make that happen? Can I get away with this? Let's try. Okay, no. Line obstructed, but that is about the furthest it can go. Can I move it one more that way? Let's try that. Line obstructed. All right, so one more this way. See, we're learning, folks. We're learning. Without beaver death. Okay, well, that's still obstructed. Let's try one more that way. You know, we all remember geometry. There we go. There we go. That's going to work. So if I put that there, and then the question though is going to be, how long is it going to take them to build this versus whatever benefit we can receive from it, right? That's the eventual problem. Because while, you know, using this area is going to be a smart thing long term, Badwater is going to come out of this. Badwater is also coming out of this, so we're not really going to prevent much of anything. But if we prevented this water from coming this way, then we're going to prevent Badwater flooding from going over here. Even though we could also probably just as easily put stuff on top of this. I think... Oh, man. I'm potentially putting myself into some really dangerous territory by doing this, but I think it's worth giving it a shot to come over here and just get this situated to the point where it's going to make sense for us to actually use this space. Let's just get rid of these. Let's pre-lay everything out, and this does have to be... It doesn't have to be 2 units tall, but, you know, to actually build this, it's going to be easier for just putting a 2 down. This is a very, very small area. So all we'd have to do is put in a double platform, right like there. And then, actually, if I'm smart, see, there you go, there's your caveat. If I'm smart, I can just build it like that. And then they can just build that across that way. That's going to prevent anything but good water from coming through here. So let's go ahead and set that. Close above contamination 1%. And now we have the interesting choice of how we want to have this set up. The stairs obviously do have to still be built because we have to be able to build the station first to use it. But I think they can do this in 2.7 days. And I think it's going to be better to do that than to just make this 2 blocks tall. We're going to see what happens. But I'm going to go ahead and give that my blessing for whatever that's worth. And we'll just go back to doing what else we're working on over here. So bad tide means we are going to have flow through here, which is going to mean these are going to generate plenty of power. And all of this is high enough where it's not going to be a problem. Should not have any issues getting flow through here, and we shouldn't have issues with this overflowing. I really hope that's not going to be a problem, but seeing how this is set up now, I'm going to go ahead and say it's time to get more pumping happening, because we really need to make sure our water situation is looking good, which, you know, for 80 beavers we're probably okay. We don't want to get complacent, because that does tend to happen, and it ends with very, very, very bad results. So I'm going to pause 2 lumber mills, get these guys pumping. Our science situation isn't looking tremendous, but we do still have some time. And I can take these guys out of these scavenger flags at any point, so I'm going to take 3 of those away. They're going to get that going on. Oh, they're already so close. So close to getting this zipline station done. That is fantastic stuff. I love ziplines, man. What a tremendously helpful thing. And it's also really funny. You guys kind of pointed this out in the comments. When a beaver is tired, they go on the zipline slower. And of course, it's because it's tied to their walking speed. But it's like this one's well-being is 14. This guy's going fast. His well-being's 15. This because he gets that extra boost. Well, not to his walking speed, working speed. You get the idea. It's just funny to watch. I think it is, at least. So, 2 days left. They've already started on this. Already started. Oh, this is so good. So good. They should be able to reach all this without it being an issue of these guys being in the way. In fact, I'm pretty confident that's going to be fine. Let's just get this stuff built. They got 2 days to do it. I'm pretty sure once this is done, this should stop overflowing. And we'll be in pretty good shape. Looking good here. Water is not really going up as fast as I wanted to. But I can go ahead and get those guys turned on there. I don't think they're going to take this zipline because, again, this is not really a super useful spot for it. I just kind of wanted to put one up here. So that's going to get moved at some point. Maybe it would make more sense to have it down here a little bit because I know we said we wanted to have our water wheels here. We'll get there. We will get there. Gears-wise, I guess since I have extra beavers now, I'll just go ahead and turn, I guess, two gear workshops back on. Now, I know, oh, I said I was going to make explosives, but it's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal, because this is going to be a bad tide, remember? That's going to be fine. How are we looking over here? Progressing quite nicely. Good, that's in place. Just have to put in 3 more levees in the next 1.6 days. And then this, well, obviously not when we have Badwater here, but this would be a very good place for a tree farm. Because it's super isolated. We should just do that, honestly. Instead of this could be a pretty neat intermediary industrial area. And we already have all these dead pine trees anyway, so... yeah, if we're smart about this, honestly, we could just put contamination barriers in this, this little bit. Obviously, right now, that's not where our focus lies. So, I'll tell you what. We'll do something over here next episode. I want you guys to tell me what you think about maybe turning this into a tree farm. Probably oaks, honestly, because it's pretty far away. But there's a lot of land available here. And irrigation would obviously not be hard. Just put a normal thing in here. So let me know your thoughts on that. And we'll continue over here doing what we've been trying to do. Almost to our first bits of pine resin. So we are going to want to get a little bit of infrastructure going for that with the wood workshop so we don't miss a single moment on that. I'm going to go ahead and unlock the wood workshop. We have 2,000 science. So that leaves us with 1,200. Remember that the dirt excavator does require 2,000 science. So, oh boy, I'm going to get in trouble because I said at the beginning of this video we're going to be doing terrain excavation. Who knows? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll get it done. I know there's a bunch of you that wanted me to build the observatory, but guess what? That also requires pine resin and science. So, and it consumes science. But, you know, every 0.75 an hour gives us 10. So maybe that's something that is worth putting up in an area like up here. You know what? Actually, that is a smart idea. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to put something up here. We'll make it happen. Got 2,100. That. Oh, this is overflowing here already. Good. Good. That is the goal. Looking nice. Is this finished? It is. It is. So now this should, if I close this prematurely, but if I hit close and we let this kind of drain out, this should stop overflowing here. Unless I've made a horrendously bad calculation, which we all know is very possible. I'm like 99% sure there's no other water coming out of here. It just might actually be me being a little dumb. Maybe just a little bit, because I didn't think this was going to be an issue, because look, our total water coming out of here is only 4. All right, well now we have this 11th hour problem that hasn't become a catastrophe yet. You know, don't sit there thinking that we're going to have some sort of horrible thing happen yet, because it hasn't happened yet, right? We have the opportunity to give our beavers some extra work and get something accomplished. You know, it's not a problem until it's a problem. And so far, it's not a problem. So, let's just go ahead and get our beavers working on this. We do have, fortunately, 12 of them that can currently be builders, and they're going to get right to work. We have all this wood already laid out for the project that we definitely were going to do the whole time, right? Right? This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. And they got some extra time to get it done. Oh, you love to see. Look how hard these beavers are working out of the kindness of their hearts. And maybe a pizza party. That always makes that work, right? Oh, but hopefully you can understand what we're trying to do here. I do think observatory here is going to be a smart choice. It would mean that we're not going to get into the 3D terrain today. And I know that's upsetting. But we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. Because we are still only about 47 minutes into this thing. We do have the ability. We do have the ability to get this kind of situated a little bit better. All right. Now, the concern I have is that these beavers are going to become sick very, very quickly. Because it's bad tide time. So, let's hit pause. It is a 9-day bad tide. This is very wet. It will continue to be wet. Easiest thing we can do to prevent beaver disaster is to come over here and remove all of these levees and just evacuate all of the water over here. Not remove these. Make sure these are set to open, which they are. They should just always be open. This is always open. So now this will drain so that hopefully... Wait a second. This was set to auto close. We probably didn't have a problem at all. I just had this set wrong. Close below contamination 1%. Well, of course that's gonna... All right. I'm gonna manually open this so that this can start letting the nasty out. Open. Okay, well now it says 5% anyway. I am very hopeful that this will solve our problem without any beavers getting sick. But you'll notice we have we have not made the herbalist yet, so we can't actually make any antidote. But it'll be a quick process if we do have to do it. Fortunately, it seems like we may have just very, very narrowly averted disaster, which I am sure at least a few of you will be very upset that I've once again gotten away with it. But sometimes that's just the way things go. Good news is that this is set, hopefully, correctly. And I see that 2%. It's closed. We should see these open up very, very soon as this gets all filtered in. And it looks like this is still doing fine. This is still doing fine. Yes, friends. Oh, we're doing so good. We're doing so good. So many nice things that we've accomplished. It just really warms your heart, doesn't it? All right, now here comes all this nasty water going through here. We got injured beavers, but we don't have contaminated beavers. Oh, I love this so much. I love it so much. Got 2,400 water stored. We have plenty here that we're going to be pumped out in the next 9 days, so it's not a big issue. Not a big issue. I'm going to turn these two pumps off because those really aren't in a good spot. And instead, let's see what else we can get ourselves into. They're still working on this. This is all draining out this way, as it does. But there is eventually going to be cause for concern that the Badwater will make its way back over here. This was honestly a mistake to get rid of these in the grand scheme of things. But I will remind you, there are no infected beavers, so no disaster has occurred. No disaster has occurred, at least Not yet, but the time is approaching very, very quickly where this is going to have to be replaced, or else more bad things actually will occur. But since we're rebuilding this, let's go ahead and put a sluice here. And that's going to be a much better way to do this, so that we can just, you know, let extra water out, but not let anything in. And I think what's going to make the most sense is that we close this above a downstream depth, because we're going to want to keep the good water in here when bad water's trying to go back this way. But if this is already full, which this is already at 0.52, this is set to 0.5, this would stay closed. And if it is not full over here, like during a good tide, remember this is a bad water source. This is not a good water source. So this isn't going to be running during a temperate season. This is going to be empty, which means water is going to flow out through here. Hopefully that works. No reason for it not to, but they're going to take... Oh, we got to get them off of 24-hour working. Got to get them off of 24-hour working. Oh, these boys and girls are so tired. They've worked so hard. We'll let them do what they got to do and have a nice rest. All right, so this beaver is finished. So away you go. We've got these guys here that can't get their explosive materials. Well, why is that? Okay, well, this guy hasn't finished them yet. So that'll be working out. That's fine. Looking okay. Yeah, the science situation maybe leaves a little bit to be desired, but that's fine. That's fine. I've got pine resin gathered. In all of our excitement, we failed to build a wood workshop, which is regrettable. Not to worry. We can go ahead and just pop one of these things in here, and we'll get it hooked up with a straight power shaft so that we can start the process of making additional stuff. There's really not that much scrap metal left here, but yeah, we kind of missed the boat on getting this going with any sort of quickness, which again is a massive failure on my part. So I guess at this point, if you're watching this video, you already know we're not going to get there. But I would like to apologize for 51 minute and whatever second ago self in the recording when I would have said we're going to get terraforming done today. About that, no. But we made some good progress toward it anyway. It's hard to be mad when you're having fun playing the beaver game, so we'll just let them do what they got to do. But these guys right here, these levees are now incredibly important to get accomplished, because now we got some bad water making its way through here. It is it's getting close, boys and girls. It's getting close. So yeah, this is now the most important thing these beavers are going to be doing, is putting this back in play. Why'd you get rid of it? Look, in times of trial, we may not always use our best reasoning out of an attempt to blindly throw solutions at something and hope it sticks. Oh, it's coming though. It's coming though. They'll get it finished pretty quick. Shouldn't have any issues. But oh, it says 1% contamination. You better get working. You better go. You better get it done, man. All right, extended work day. No pizza party though. We're out of money for pizza. Just come on, somebody get in here. Get in here now. It's already contaminated. It's already contaminated. All right. Now you can go to bed. Crisis averted. Is there a little bit of contamination in here? Yeah, probably. But the most important thing is that we tried, and we succeeded. We got something done. So they're going to be working on this wood workshop. The storage for the pine resin isn't full yet, and most importantly, there's not anything left to gather, so I guess we didn't really miss the boat that much. We just didn't quite get this finished to the degree that we wanted it to. So back over here, looks like this dynamite's ready to go. This dynamite will be ready to go soon, and the observatory needs to be researched. And then this guy is going to go right at the end of the map. And the reason I'm not putting it here is because I do want to upgrade these to larger windmills, which do have I believe, a larger hitbox. So I'm probably going to put this guy right here. Hopefully that'll work. We'll see what happens. But as you can see, we have a couple more dynamites to put in place, and then that can go in. Just doing what we can do. Eventually. Eventually. No problems here, no problems there. We're looking pretty good otherwise. I could probably stand to get a couple more beavers in here. So, probably gonna make sense to go ahead and get this situated. Put in with a ladder facing that way, and do the same thing we already did over there. Flip that around that way. There we go. So that'll give us space for 3 more beavers. And, importantly, this ladder and this ladder are going to allow us to get on top of here, which means that now we can start thinking about replacing some of these with double lodges. Provided they're not going to have issues clearing the zip lines, which doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. Wow, we could actually put triple stack if we wanted to. Yeah, but that's not what we're focusing on right now. We need to get this going. Let's go ahead and get that observatory popped in right there. Get that going there, and then we are going to want to have power going into this, but I don't want to block any further access up here. So what I'm going to end up doing is bringing that along that way, and then putting this in here, which I think they should be able to build without any silly billies. Hopefully. Hopefully they can get that going. But that's going to get powered pretty nicely. And we'll have beavers working to make science a lot quicker than these guys, which is always a good thing. Treated planks being made. I don't have storage for them yet, which is probably a mistake, but we'll go ahead and put in that there. Yeah. That's going to fill up pretty quick, and we don't want that to happen. Alright, how are we looking? How are we looking? Using more planks. Do they have the pine resin? They do, and that's built. There's no silly billies. Crisis averted. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. I love it when a plan comes together. We've got 3 more planks. There we go. Finish it off. Finish it off, and then also build this. No, but that shouldn't be too much longer. And then we're going to be making every hour, whatever this math works out to. I don't know why they just didn't do per hour science, but that's the way it goes. It's so much faster than these things. Yeah, 1 hour, 1 science. Try 1 hour, 12 and a half, or whatever the math works out to, 13. So much better. So much better. So that is going to mean we can start retiring these, which conveniently is going to give us an opportunity to put in additional beaver housing. I know how much we love that, right? Although these guys still, they can still make us some science, so I guess we can just kind of leave that alone for the time being. We do have 10 treated planks, which is exciting. These are continuing to grow in, which is good. We somehow managed to accidentally do this correctly to prevent Badwater from coming in, so that's exciting. That's fun. Obviously, tons more we can do with this as we go into the future. And yeah, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say we didn't have any crippling mistakes in this episode, although we got really close. We got real close. But we've managed to have a pretty successful time here. And I think that's fantastic. I am going to finish out this bad tide in this episode. I know we're just now passing the hour mark, but I think it's nice to start on a fresh cycle. For next episode, we can start doing the rest of this stuff. So, the notes I had from your comments on the last video were mostly, most of you were just really concerned about this being set up correctly, and I'm glad we got that taken care of. But a couple of you did mention stuff about this area down here, and I can't remember if it was this past episode or the one before that where I made a comment, something to the effect of, yeah, well, I don't really know if we're going to have time to get into that yet, but it's definitely something we want to do. And now we've done it. And we got this kind of situated with a possibility next episode maybe to start growing some more trees here. So do let me know your thoughts about that. And then, of course, we have all of this stuff here that I did say we're going to do something with. So let's go ahead and do that. A couple people asked for paths on top of the ladders just so stuff looks a little bit nicer. I'm not always a fan of that, but in this scenario, I think I will do that. So now this farmhouse has access to all of this, which is great news. I'm going to get the rest of this set up as wheat. And this is still paused, by the way. And we are amassing regular wheat in the process. But as things continue getting better, we can start moving this into a more appropriate spot. And there's so many opportunities we have to make stuff make sense. And I love that. I love that for us. Look at this. We're already back up to 1,600 science because these guys in the observatory, well, you know, they went home for the day. Which is funny because, you know, at nighttime, that's the best opportunity to see the stars. Go get yourself a sleeping bag and a, you know, bag of hot Cheetos or something and stay up here and look at cool stuff. It's fun. Get yourself a telescope. No, seriously. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to the beavers. Go and, like, get yourself an inexpensive telescope or whatever and just take a look at the night sky. It's really neat. We live in an amazing universe with all sorts of cool stuff to see. You're going to regret if you don't learn something about it. I think, at least. But I really liked. I know. Here we are at the end of the episode. It's time for another tangent. But I always really liked looking at this stuff. We had a pretty nice telescope when I was a kid, and we'd take a look at different planets when we saw those were going to be showing up in the sky. We looked at the moon and all that. And then as an adult, I got into photography, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm taking pictures of football with a 600 millimeter lens. I bet I could get a really good picture of the moon with this. And I did. I've gotten some pretty cool ones. Hopefully I can remember to maybe put one of those up on the screen. But I don't know. It's just really cool, man. It's never a mistake to learn things, right? It's always worth it to learn about interesting new stuff and expand your knowledge about things that you were either indifferent to or maybe ignorant of. It can only make your life better. But that being said, we got like 1.2 days left, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. I really appreciate you watching these videos, and especially all the words of encouragement and support and everything these past week or so when I've just been absolutely miserable. I have no idea what it was. Wasn't COVID, wasn't the flu. I'm pretty sure it's just one of those, maybe like a sinus thing or whatever, but it was almost impossible to talk for like a whole week. I tried to come back and make another video, and that did not go well. So we're going to ease back into it. I can't promise a daily yet, but I'm going to do my best to do what I can when I can and to get back into the swing of things, get everything else situated. But truthfully, I really mean it. I can't do it without you. And I'm so thankful for the support. Beard Boosters, your contributions, in addition to, like, you know, what I normally talk about. Oh, you support the channel, this and that and the other. If I have to take a couple days off and I'm not posting videos, then it really helps offset the, I guess, the lack of stuff coming in from not posting videos. Because every single one of those channel memberships is, I guess, on a per viewer basis, might even be, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 times as much quote-unquote financial benefit to the channel as watching videos is. So like it is a tremendous amount of support that really helps the channel. It helps me out personally a lot more than you are ever going to be able to know. I'm really thankful for it. I'm glad we have the opportunity to spend this time together, enjoy the Beaver game and other stuff too, and just, you know, have a little bit of positivity in a world that is so hateful a lot of the time. And I want to reduce the amount of suffering in the world, not increase it. So you guys make that possible, and I'm always going to be thankful for it. That being said, that's the end of this episode as we are here in Cycle 14, Day 1. We're going to jump right bang into it next time. I don't know exactly when the next episode of this is going to be, but I'm so excited to get into terraforming and all that, because now we have the science to unlock the terraforming. We don't have to have the extract or anything, and we're starting to get the treated planks. So that should be maybe the first thing we do next episode. Again, sorry for the beginning of this episode. I said, oh, we're going to get it. It didn't happen, but I appreciate you. Whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.